Good evening, school board. I am here today with Brianna Kerlinkis, our community liaison, and together we are going to present the equity update for April 15th, 2024 on the Department of Systemic Equity and Inclusion Community of Practice. In this presentation, we will align the strategic and equity framework to the purpose of the Department of Systemic Equity and Inclusion's Community of Practice. I will elaborate and share more deeply around the why of the DSEI-COP and the purpose. And then I will turn it over to Brianna to share more about the framework, how we developed the framework, the areas of focus, the work that our parent caregivers who are members of the DSEI-COP are focused on, and the forward work ahead. I will then share some demographic data and then close with gratitude. I want to start by naming that our equity framework, which is in this slide in the far right, which includes all of the very bold statements of we stand behind. We stand behind our Black and Brown students and parents and caregivers, our immigrant students, staff, and families, our LGBTQIA students, staff, and families, our students with disabilities and their staff and families, as well as our lower socioeconomic students, staff, and families. Our strategic framework, which was developed with the three pillars that are in the middle graph, culture of educational excellence, culture of engagement and inclusion, and culture of operational excellence. This particular equity update really aligns to the communications and community engagement goal, which states that the goal is to excel in how we collaborate and communicate with all care holders and build relationships to promote positive outcomes for students. The why in this work is many of our historically marginalized parents and caregivers have repeatedly informed us that they and their students often feel unseen and undervalued in our system. In the fall of 2021, just months after the Department of Systemic Equity and Inclusion was formed, I developed the first DSEI-CC with the intent to create a space that allowed for district administrators and key strategy process leads to come in and share information relative to their areas of focus with community members and parents and caregivers of our most marginalized populations. Some of those presentations that were shared, and I also should name that parents and caregivers identified the areas that they wanted the presentations to be focused on. And some of those presentations included student policies and discipline, student services and mental health. And we did that beginning in the fall of 2021. But what I noticed is throughout the year, the mid to end of the 2021-2022 school year and the beginning of the 2022-2023 school year, that attendance and participation amongst members began to decline. In December of 2023, we brought on a new community liaison, it's Brianna, and we surveyed the existing participants, the participants who continue to engage with us. And we learned through that that they wanted to be more hands-on and actively engaged in work that is happening across the system together. And with their input, we formed the DSEI-COP. The purpose of the DSEI-COP is to build relational trust within the community with a focus on the historically marginalized populations. Also to engage members through listening, learning, and sharing information on topics supported by the district that matters to them, that matters to the members. And to connect members with district employees who are also process leads on important projects in the areas that they would like to be more hands-on and engaged in. And now I am going to turn it over to Brianna to share more about the framework and how we developed.
Thank you, Michael. It's such an honor to be here with you all tonight. And so, as Michael said, this is where and how all of the work started in creating our new communities of practice. And so as you can see, there is this really great graphic that I was able to share with all of our parent and caregivers, or as we like to call them, our members of the DSCI COP. And this is where it really all began, right? And looking at it from the perspective of being able to change the outcomes and what we really hope that the community of practice can be. And so my focus was that having this community of practice would be that there would be a group of people that would come together to share some common ground and interest around topics that were of importance to them. And interaction was really something that needed to happen, and engagement was something that needed to happen that we were missing. And we have found that just through our new COP is that this is really the key foundation to really having a cohesive group. And so when we looked at what the communities of practice and explaining why we were making the shift, we talked about those three elements of being of having purpose, right? What is it that we do, and why do we do it, and why are we even here, right? Like what is this all about? And it was great that Michael had shared with us all the whys of being able to create the DSCI COP. And so we really wanted this to be a part of being able to come together to guide learning, for members to participate, and to really give meaning to truly having transformational work happen, right? We needed to have some action around our words. And so we were able to create the social fabric around problem solving, information sharing, and really building intentional and meaningful relationships. And so we know that maybe some of this will change over time, and that's great, right? Like that's what we want to have happen, is that there is this transformational change. Um, but what we do know is that the things that won't change is that the community connections that we will build and the relationships that we will build, but also the forward movement. And so, one thing for me that with the DSCI CP and this framework is that we will always remain the same, in that we all have this commitment and the focus to keep our members engaged, feeling empowered, supported, encouraged, and we truly are going to work really hard to elevate the voices of our most marginalized families and students. And so with this graphic, I shared this with our DSCI COP members. And I shared with them that this framework truly captured the new vision of what we wanted this to go in. And so Michael and I had asked them to take some time to look at it and to share which parts of the COP framework that they really thought that we could incorporate into the work that we are going to be doing. And so, Michael, if you can advance the slide, we will see that through looking at that community of practice framework, our members were able to identify 6 key areas of focus, or those were like the running themes. And so we've kept those themes and we've made them into our areas of focus. And so the first one is connect as a community. The second one is give and get support. The third one is inclusion. The fourth one is collective action. The fifth one is listen to and learn with each other and as a community. And the last one is to acknowledge, teach, and celebrate different races and culture. And that's truly through representation. And so with these key areas of focus, we have been really able to dig really deep into how all of those areas focus not only fit into our strategic plan, but also into our equity framework as well. And so we've been able to do some larger work as to both small and large group discussions on how we as a district are meeting our areas of focus. Are there missing pieces? What could be some potential challenges and or barriers? And if there's any of these areas of focus that really resonate or a member finds true passion in. And so our next really big step is to bring in DSCI COP members, students, so that they have an opportunity to share their thoughts and feelings around those exact same things. How our areas of focus really fit with them and align with how they would envision this forward movement happening. And so the next slide here is really just sticking true and capturing just that, the parent giver voice, or the voice of our DSCI COP members. And so I've asked them to think about what they would like this work to look like moving forward. And because we just have 2 more times that we will meet, we still have a lot of work that needs to be done. And I truly do want to take the moment to celebrate the work that has already been done. And I will share that several members have just stated just how awesome it has felt to be invited to share their thoughts and ideas, but also to have a clear direction as to where our DSCI COP is headed, which is amazing to hear. And so some of the forward work plan ideas that they have shared is that how can we build capacity through quality parent and caregiver engagement. And here listed some ideas that were shared were like mini workshops for empowering parents and caregivers, and some session topics that would be included, or we could include, would be strengthening families, right? Looking at how families bring strengths to everything that they do within the district. So whether that's volunteering, whether that's showing up to school events, right? Families do bring strengths, and we want to make sure that we're capitalizing on that. Supporting children's learning at home, mental and physical well-being, and then last but not least, parents as partners, and really capturing what it means to build partnerships and have strong relationship building capacity. Potentially doing some book studies. There are 2 books that I have found that could really fit for our DSCI COP. And the first one is Teaching for Justice and Belonging, and that is a journey for educators and parents. And I thought, like, what a great way to be able to bring in the parent caregiver side of that, and to really capture their voice. And then the second book would be Culturally Responsive Conversations, and being able to connect with our diverse school community. So we haven't voted on those yet, but it was just something that at some point we will be able to go on that journey and selecting some other ways of building and learning from each other. Another idea was exploring the dual capacity building framework for family and school partnerships, which is by Karen Mapp. I'm still on that journey too of really exploring that, but it has some really great pieces as to how we can continue to forge meaningful and intentional family school partnerships. And then the last one was, of course, the most important one too, is to continue to elevate parent and caregiver as well as student voices. So we are definitely looking forward to the next couple of months when summer comes, that we can get some good planning in, but then kicking off again in the fall and working with the DSCI COP. So I turn it back over to Michael.
Thank you, Brianna. And just one example of what we mean by parents getting actively engaged and involved is through sharing some of the key things that are impacting student life in our system with parents and caregivers. We ask them to let us know if there is something that is speaking to their heart, and their passion. And one example is a group of students at Central Heights reached out to me in the winter and shared that they had concerns about the freedom shrines in the schools. And we worked with students and district administrators, as well as the students and their got their parents and caregivers permission to engage them in conversations with the Exchange Club And we reached out to our Department of Systemic Equity and Inclusion's Community Cabinet, and also have parent representation who's a part of that steering committee. And so that's one example. There are others, and other examples of ways in which parents who are on the community of practice lean in to roll up their sleeves and get involved and engaged in the work. I just want to share some demographic data with you all. Of our current participants, there's 25 members. 23 of those members identify as female and 2 as male. The racial breakdown is 10 of our members identify as Black, 2 as Hispanic, 1 as American Indian, Alaskan, 2 identify as 2 or more races, and 10 that identify as Asian. So within our racially marginalized school population, we have representation from all of our racially marginalized parents and caregivers. And those parents represent 20 Black students, 4 Hispanic students, 4 American Indian and Alaskan students, and 11 students who identify as 2 or more race, and 15 Asian students. So our 25 parents and caregivers who are members of the DSCI, the DSCIC OP, represents 54 students within our school that range in grades from 4K all the way through to our adult transition program. And so we have every grade represented, and every race group represented within our system. There are other demographic data points that I'm happy to share offline with any board member that is interested in knowing more, whether it's if students identify as LGBTQIA, or if their parents share with us that they identify that way, or our students with individualized education plans, and any other data point that may be of interest, I'm happy to share. And I want to close by just extending gratitude to the school board, also to our superintendent, who has been very supportive in the transition. We started again in 2021 with the DSCICC, and as the DSCICC went through a transition, there was a 11-month period that we did not have a community liaison before Brianna joined us in late November, early December of 2023. And so really, Dr. Sarin serving as a tremendous thought partner as we worked to solicit input from our members, as well as in ways on how we could improve our level of support to our families. I want to thank Brianna, who does this work in supporting the community of practice, but also does a lot more in her very limited PT FTE time with us, and also to the members, the Department of Systemic Equity and Inclusion community of practice members across our system, who come in and meet with us monthly in the evening after many have worked throughout the day. And so I want to just close out our presentation, and then in person open up space for questions. Thank you all for listening to this presentation and following the slide deck.